Thank you. And in the spirit of things, I'm happy to be here. So, and I am. Thank you for allowing me to spend some valuable time with you today. And I'm so used to having a hanger for my microphone line that I'm not used to holding one. We'll see if I can do that. I do have trouble walking and chewing gum at the same time on occasion. And you know, Ben Franklin is known as a statesman and inventor, but he's also a bit of a philosopher. And one of his quotes that I liked, and was relevant to this, is, "When you're finished changing, you're finished." And it sounds a little bit like Yogi Berra to me as well. Some of you will know who I'm talking about. But, you know, change is with us all the time. And sometimes it slips up on us and happens right there in front of us and we don't even know it. But it can just... You don't have any trouble hearing me back there, do you? I'll quit trying to show off that I can hold on to that. Once a school teacher and a first sergeant, you've got a good voice. But some changes are small and expected, like weather. Yeah, right. Aside from the talk, I was telling Bob a while ago, I have a good friend performing at the state fair right now. He's from Alabama. And he posted on Facebook yesterday that about all the rain, and quite a little comment about it. And I posted back on his page, "Well, Ron, we have 4 beautiful days in Iowa. You just missed them. The rest of them are too hot, too cold, or too wet." So today he's posting about being cold and wishing he brought a jacket. So I posted back, "Ron, you obviously didn't look at my post yesterday. Take reference to it." But you know, change happens all around us all the time. Sometimes we don't see it because we're just not observant. I often like to say, close your eyes for just a moment. Try this. Ask yourself and then answer yourself, what color tie am I wearing? And then open your eyes and see if you were right. And congratulate yourselves if you were. But we as humans, we tend to resist change. And some of it's unconscious, some of it's conscious. But it goes back to the idea that we're actually programmed to be suspicious of change. Our earliest ancestors, it kept them from being lunch for some big predator. Being a little suspicious of a change you're seeing, a light out on a street that you drive down, or if you live in a big city, walk down. And being suspicious of why it may be out can save you from being from a mugger. Things like this, though many times our resistance to change is simply we don't like to get out of our comfort zone. Protect our ego. But you know, the thing that amazes me is we tend to be better prepared or more acceptance of having to deal with negative change than positive, something that's actually a good thing, a successful thing to us. We tend to resist that even more sometimes. Russ Landon, a change management consultant, says that modern society, change isn't always what's feared, it's the perception that it's going to have a negative effect on us. And you know, perceptions can be very deceiving to us. Our perception of things, well, an example. Your perception might be of 30-inch, 3 white cotton ropes, right? But is that your perception? Or is that reality? Wow. Perceptions can deceive us. And we tend to, we react sometimes by things by just ignoring them. You know, if we ignore it long enough, maybe it'll go away. But that decision is a decision. Just like you hear action, no action is an action. Change happens 24/7. You can't get away from it. Remember when some of you are still there, as a kid playing a board game, or building something out of Legos. And somebody else, usually a big brother or big sister, comes by and knocks it all over. Accidentally, of course. Yeah, right. And even though you may complain successfully to a parent, I bet you still had to pick it up, didn't you? And then decide, are you going to start all over, or are you just going to let it go? You have to make a decision. In life, that can be a new coworker that you've got to adjust to, or a new boss. You have to decide, either right then or decide to take time to judge, is it going to be good or bad for you. Or your company downsizes and you win a door pass. It could be a relationship change. It can be good or bad, divorce, or a new person in your life. Major health issues affecting you or a loved one. Yet, like I say, change can be positive and still meet with resistance. A promotion that requires moving to another city. Even harder to adjust to for most of us is a promotion within the company that means we're now supervising some people that used to be our coworkers. My introduction to the military did not come at 18 when I joined the Air Force and went to boot camp. It came at just a few months of age when my career Air Force father got new orders. And off we went again. My earliest memories, quite frankly, are Germany, and still a lot of bombed out buildings after World War II. We came back to the States just in time for me to start first grade, and during the second grade my father got transferred back to Germany again. The fact is that my second grade was at 3 different schools in 3 different cities in 2 different countries. And, some of it was a bit of a blur. And part of my adjustment to all this was athletics, even then. I wasn't particularly gifted at it, but I didn't know when to give up. And I was always a head taller than most of my classmates. 2 things could have helped out. Just the start of the 5th grade, we went back to the States again, and I went from being the biggest, slowest guy on a German soccer team to being a pretty outstanding lineman on the Texas football team. It's like, oh, you mean I get to grab these little guys and throw them on the ground and jump up? Oh, yeah, I like American football. The start of the 6th grade, I hit puberty. My football physical for the 6th grade, I was 5'6" and 128 pounds. And I discovered that girls were different from my 2 sisters. Life was good. Until just prior to my 12th birthday, 17 days before the Salk vaccine came to my South Texas town, I was diagnosed with polio. And I'm kind of a big proponent of vaccines. No one can tell you exactly what you need specifically to prepare yourself for change. I certainly can't. Though there's many self-styled gurus that, for a nice fee, will try to do that for you. I don't have that kind of crystal ball. But as an old saying goes, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, but there's no happy pill that'll give you instant success, love life, or lose 30 pounds overnight. Life's hard work. So why am I up here talking to you? I want to share some ideas, some things that worked for me and apparently worked for a few other people that can help you adapt to handling change of all kinds. And maybe, just maybe, on your own terms. What I hope to do is change your way of thinking about change. You know, while learning to walk again, and I had to learn how to do everything, I had a lot of time to read. I spent most of the 6th grade in the hospital. And 2 areas of interest to me before and since was chess and magic. Somebody gave me a box of books, and one of the books was 101 card tricks. And I knew 99 of the time I got out of there. And, became a pretty good chess player and a fair to middling magician. Early on, I saw a chess master take on most of the members of our chess club at once. And it looked like he beat them all. The newspaper article, as I remember it, said he did, but he didn't quite. And you know, to win a chess match, and I think tennis matches are the same way, you don't have to win every game. You just have to win one more than your opponent. And that's kind of the way we'd like our lives to be, isn't it? You know, maybe not win all the time, just come out on top most of the time. I bought his chess book. See if I can figure out what his secret was. And the secret, if there is one out of that chess book, it certainly helped me with my chess, was a life lesson for me. And it was about the idea of positioning. You see, the chess master positions his pieces in a certain way so that he can capitalize on the weakness or mistakes of his opponent. This positioning is the idea that you control those 4 center squares. Statistics show that those who do win more games than they lose. You do this either by occupying the square with one of your pieces or controlling it, being able to capture an opponent's piece with one of your strong attack pieces, like the bishop or the knight are usually used. Now, you should be asking me, how's that a life lesson? Life's not that easy. And you're right, it isn't. But let me back up just a moment, a little sidebar on how chess is played for some of you that may not be familiar. If you've ever seen a checkerboard, you've seen a chessboard. They're the same. 8 squares up, 8 squares across, 64 of them, alternating colors. There's 16 pieces on each side, 2 armies, if you will, with a knight, a bishop, a king, a queen. Kind of reflective of society once upon a time. And you try to move those pieces into favorable positions before your opponent does, so that you either block their forward movement or you can capture them. Or as my 8-year-old grandson that's learning to play chess right now says, kill him, granddad. And it's one of the oldest board games known. But I want you to take that idea of that chess master who's trying to position his strong pieces to either occupy or control those 4 center squares. You decide what your 4 center squares are. This is what makes the idea adaptable to you and to different changes in your life as you move through it. Those 4 center squares could be some things as a stable career, your marriage, your family, a particular lifestyle. What are those 4 center squares that you build your life and live it on? And how do you protect it? What are your attack pieces, if you will? What are your bishops and your knights? They might be your job experience, your technical skill, your formal education, willingness to relocate, mobility in your career. You think of them. And success requires preparation and planning, followed by action. You've got to take action. You may resist change to protect yourself from a sign of possible danger, but what you need to do in the 21st century is become more flexible to change. How flexible in our thinking and what we can learn about ourselves can spell success. He was a 13-year-old young man. I'd hit 6 feet and was shaving once a month. And my mother was making me do it. I had learned to walk again, as I said, but I was still partially paralyzed. Best doctors in the state of Texas was telling me that I would never use my right arm again. So what was really crazy about it is I could use my hand. I couldn't lift it off of it, like right here, but I could pick up a bottle cap, put it between my thumb and forefinger and crush it. But I couldn't pick it up. And I was told that no more physical therapy. It just wasn't doing any good. This was it. So, you know, one of the things I had to do was reposition myself. I replaced sports with magic shows. I did my first one in the 7th grade talent contest. And seemed to delight girls, or so I told myself at the time. The other was to accept my father's help in designing and putting together a very aggressive physical therapy program that included something that I didn't know what to call it at the time, but I know now was imagery, mental imagery, or guided imagery, it's sometimes called. Those two things, along with the fact that, you know, I was still growing, those growth plates were still expanding, the hormones were still raging stronger than they ever would in my life. But within 2 years, the braces were gone, and within 4 years, I was active duty Air Force. My family didn't have money for college, and I wasn't the best student anyway. My father said, "You will have a C average or else," so I had a C average. I'm quite sure he told me I had to have a B average, I'd had a B average. Left room for girls and cars. The Air Force offered me computer maintenance. You know, unlike today, I didn't know a thing about computers. I'd seen them on movies or television. But I did know that they had to be cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and didn't fit in foxholes. I liked that idea of me. You know, my life was pretty good. Sailing along, very reasonable. I went from school in Mississippi to assignment in Louisiana, from there to Germany, and from Germany to Central California. Good life. And I arrived in California with a 30-year-old classic MG sports car. Yeah, life was good. I had 8 years in, running smoothly. 12 more years, I'd have a pension. I mean, not that as a 26-year-old I was thinking about that too much then, but just the lifestyle. And I get a CO, a commanding officer, that pointed out to me that I had been evading taking any self-improvement classes off-duty college, which they pushed real big even back then. And with a grin on his face that was not a grin, he said, "Yes, you're right, I can't make you take a college course, Sergeant, but I can sure make you wish you had." Yeah, right. So, not being totally dumb, I signed up for what seemed to be the less offensive title, and being a supervisor, I thought I could use a psychology class, and something clicked. And once again, I took a big change in life, took a big deep breath, and took off to college to become a psychologist. And you know, every game, every aspect of life has its bystanders, its kibitzers that usually are telling you how they could have played the game better than whoever was there, including you. Saying things like, "That's a mighty big risk you're taking. Nobody in our family's ever tried that before." And you know, as detrimental as those negative comments are to us, the ones we hear in our own heads are a whole lot stronger. That negative self-talk saying those things really means something. And that was certainly my biggest. You know, I'd gone from being an Air Force dependent to active duty Air Force, and it was like, I don't know what the rules are out there. It was really amazing. I didn't want to scare you with all these. I'll skip a bunch of them. But you know, sometimes you need to change your position in life. You know, without getting a promotion if it's there at work. You know, a lateral move to gain more skills, to get out of your comfort zone and get experience in another area to get upward mobility. A number of years ago, my youngest sister was struggling and was living in Houston and struggling to be recognized and promoted in a male-dominated career field. She took a lateral transfer to their office in Denver with the hope that some different experiences there would aid her, plus the fact she had taken up snow skiing. It's a lot cheaper to go to Vail from Denver than from Houston. But as we can imagine here, a girl who had never lived in snow country found out driving to work in it is not near as much fun as playing in it. And just about the start, well, in fact it was the start of the second winter, she got transferred to Silicon Valley in California with a big raise in salary. But you know, you got to take action. One way, like I say, is position yourself professionally so you hear about different jobs, different opportunities, some that you may not even have considered for yourself. Besides, it's an interesting way to meet new people and expand just personal horizons. Get outside your circle, your comfort level. Join professional groups at your office or after work for a snack, lunch. Meetup.com is a very interesting website to go to. It lists some of the most amazing groups of it. It's like, really? When I looked at some of the names of them, and you know, how many members there are, where they meet, how often they meet, and such as that. Closer to your comfort level is serve on a committee at your business or in your community. If you've got children, their school has always got committees that need people on them. Enroll in a class. Doesn't have to be academic or even technical. It can be just a fun class. Most towns have community education programs. Everything from baking to a foreign language. You never know where something like that can take you. I was about to graduate with my bachelor's degree and start grad school young age of 29. And I had room in my schedule for another class, so I took one outside my major area of study that I thought would make me a little more marketable. Walked into that classroom first day of June, it was a summer session, looked across the room and was struck dumbfounded by the most beautiful woman I think I've ever seen in my life. It took me 4 months to get a date with her. She often told me that I was the epitome of the guy her mother warned her about. Well, you know, I had shoulder length, long hair, a beard, rode a bicycle, lived in a travel trailer. And I think the only reason she went out with me that one time was I worked for the student activities department there at the university part-time, and I had front row tickets to the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. 3 months later, we were married. Neither one of us with a job. I did have a lot more hair then, of course. Talk about multiple career changes happening to two people at once. By the way, that anybody cares, that's 42 years ago and counting. Now, some chess players focus on advancing just those little pieces, those pawns, the easy ones. They think stay back there and protect their more valuable pieces is the thing to do. In life, a lot of people don't take risks either. They're fearful of change. They're scared to get outside that comfort zone. I'd like for you to think of your strong pieces like the knight might be your military experience, technical or formal education. The bishop might be your strong faith, your church support, your personal code of ethics. The rook, or castle, some people call it in chess, figuratively is made up of your family and friends that you depend on and depend on you. But, you know, change happens. It may come as something positive or negative. It may offer wonderful promotional opportunities in your profession. I came to Des Moines with a promise that they would transfer me in 2 years. That's what I had to stay for regulatory reasons, to have a no-cost move. I tried every way in the world to get out of coming here. I visited Des Moines once in the middle of August, and way too humid and hot. And I didn't like the position. I had something else that was supposed to happen. 2 years and 1 week after arriving here, I get a phone call from my mentor saying, "You ready to pack your suitcase? You lived up to your side of it. You didn't upset too many people. How'd you like to go to San Francisco? But you will have to travel a little bit more than you have to there in Des Moines. You're going to have to do training trips to 8 different states, including Hawaii and Guam once a year." Yeah, throw them in that briar patch. You ask your dad about that reference. I had a good friend that I'd lived in California at one time. That's where I got off active duty at. And I had a friend that was in real estate in the San Francisco, Oakland Bay area. He found me a house. He felt comparable to the neighborhood I lived in Des Moines, schools and all that. And I was very excited when he called me that it was only going to be a 2-hour one-way commute every day. Which, if you've ever been to San Francisco, you understand that's pretty good. But in that 2 years of being here, I realized I had a pretty good deal. And it certainly was not good for my 5 kids. You know, even when I'd be home, I wouldn't be home. Even when I was in town, I wouldn't be home. Those poor boys and girl needed to know that they were answerable to somebody a whole lot harder to deal with than their mother. And their teachers needed to know that it was me that would come through the door, not some harried housewife who was a former school teacher and kind of on their side to begin with. So I became a lot more involved in my school, in my children's school, serving on some committees, with my church. I became a scoutmaster. Life was good. And to quell those itchy feet that I get from moving around every couple of years all my life, I took a 1-year contract with the Air National Guard of Iowa. They had a Try-1 program for veterans. They were going to England for 3 weeks. It was all about that, I'll tell you. At the end of that year, I decided, hey, this is pretty cool. I like these people. I like being part of this, and stayed. My wife, who'd been a stay-at-home mom because of choices we made from the beginning, and living overseas a lot helped, had been substituting as a special ed teacher in Des Moines. We were after her always to get a contract, and she said, well, the youngest one is starting school in September. I'll take a contract. They said, come in on Monday, and we'll fix it up. On Saturday before that, she was in a head-on car collision and suffered minimal brain damage. My daughter, our daughter who was in the car, being taken to ballet lessons, of course, was in a car seat in the back seat, and not even a scratch. 2 years went by, and it was still kind of iffy when or if she would be able to work. And 5 kids, the oldest getting close to college level. I set myself down and talked to myself as I might to somebody else when I used to run career ed centers for the U.S. Army, and say, what are your talents? What are your strengths? What's your education? How do you put it together that fits a kind of a crazy schedule? And I took my interest in magic as still a kind of a on-again, off-again hobby, my knowledge of hypnotherapy, and I started a entertainment business. And 2.5 years later, my wife said, I think I'd like to go to work. Everything's cool, and it was. I said, honey, I'm having way too much fun. You can go to work if you want to or not, but do it for your reasons, because this is fun. And she took another year off before, and she went back for her own reasons. But it did pay for all 5 of our kids to go to college. And about 15 years ago, they were closing my office here and said, we'll give you an office in Tampa, Florida, break my heart. I love the Gulf Coast. Or we'll do a buyout. 2 kids in college, 2 kids in high school, still that's not the time to move. Show me the money. I can always get a real job if I have to. Like I say, that was 15 years ago. I'm still ducking. Identify your center squares, what you need to support your lifestyle choices and family. By positioning your pieces to protect those squares, it can help you deal with different types of change. If the very idea of going back to school, learning a technical skill, or moving to a new position, or serving on a committee in an active role is a little bit fearful to you, that should tell you that's something you ought to do, something you ought to try. You know, remember when you were a kid, and those joints and muscles were stretching and expanding, and your folks said, oh, that's just growing pains. Well, that little fearful bit in you right now, think about that as just a growing pain. Be your own change agent. Change your perception of what you're capable of doing. You'll probably never be completely ready for a change that comes out of left field, but the more flexible you are, the better you are at handling it. And maybe on your own terms. I'd like to add one thing. I recently discovered a new program being put on by AARP, but it's open to everybody and it's free. And it's called Life Reimagined. And I am blown away by the quality and professionalism of the videos online at lifereimagined.org. They also have free programs that facilitate going through this little workshop. And whether you're a college student, midlife crisis, or already retired, but you feel that you've got something more to do, that'll take you outside your comfort zone, but in a very supportive way. So, whether you do it that way or not, reimagine your life a little bit. That's what I'm doing right here with you today. Thank you.